Was the Trojan War real? Did a 10-year siege truly bring down the ancient city of Troy? And was there ever a wooden horse that hid an army, leading to one of the greatest military deceptions of all time? Welcome to where we'll explore the fascinating mix of legend and possible history behind the famous story of the Trojan War. The tale of the Trojan War begins with the epic poem attributed to Homer, known as, written down around the 8th century BCE, tells of mighty warriors, vengeful gods, and a love that supposedly sparked a war. The legendary narrative centers on Helen, the queen whose beauty launched 1,000 ships. According to the story, she was taken, or, depending on the version, willingly fled, to the city of Troy with Prince Paris, sparking a conflict that would involve nearly every Greek city-state. But how much of this is history and how much is myth? To separate fact from fiction, we need to go back over 3,000 years to the time period known as the Late Bronze Age, around the 12th or 13th century BCE. This was an era of city-states and powerful empires spread across the eastern Mediterranean and the Aegean Sea. It was also a time of frequent conflicts and trade rivalries. Did a city called Troy even exist in this period? Archaeologists believe that the ancient city of Troy did indeed exist and was located in what is now modern-day Turkey. In the late 19th century, a German archaeologist named Heinrich Schliemann set out to find Troy, guided by nothing more than Homer's texts and his own determination. Schliemann's excavations uncovered the remains of an ancient city at a site called Hisarlik, and many now agree that this is likely the Troy of Homer's epics. But Schliemann's discovery raised more questions than answers. For one, there were multiple layers of settlement at Hisarlik, representing different eras of construction and destruction, which, if any, was the Troy of the legendary war. The remains suggest that Troy was destroyed and rebuilt several times over the centuries, with one layer in particular showing signs of a violent end that corresponds roughly to the time period Homer described. Yet even with this discovery, the mystery only deepened. The idea of a 10-year siege, as Homer describes, raises skepticism. Could an army really sustain a siege of that length in the ancient world? Scholars debate whether Homer's account is a blend of various military conflicts that may have occurred over many years, perhaps representing a more prolonged struggle between the Mycenaeans and the people of Troy. Some suggest that the story of the Trojan War could be a compilation of several historical battles, romanticized and woven into a single epic by Homer. One of the most famous elements of the Trojan War story is the Trojan Horse, a massive wooden structure used to sneak Greek soldiers into the city. According to the myth, the Greeks pretended to sail away, leaving the wooden horse as a gift to the Trojans. The Trojans brought it into their city, and under cover of night, the hidden Greek soldiers emerged, opening the gates and allowing the Greek army to invade and conquer Troy. However, there is no archaeological evidence of a giant wooden horse. Historians believe the horse might have been a metaphor for some other kind of trick or ruse, perhaps a siege weapon or even an earthquake, which ancient people might have interpreted as a divine intervention by the gods. In fact, some scholars argue that the Trojan horse may have been a later addition to the story, added for dramatic effect. So if there was a real war, what could have sparked it? Historians have proposed several theories, often centered around economics and trade. Troy was strategically located at the entrance to the Dardanelles, a narrow strait that connects the Aegean Sea to the Black Sea. Controlling Troy would have meant control over a significant trade route, potentially giving its rulers great wealth and influence. It's possible that the Mycenaeans, the dominant Greek power of the time, saw Troy as both a threat and an opportunity. There's also the question of Homer himself. Was he recounting a story based on real events, or creating an epic to entertain and inspire? Some scholars believe that Homer's poems were an oral tradition passed down over centuries, which could mean the story evolved and changed before it was written. This would make the and as much about mythology and cultural values as they are about historical record. And then, of course, there are the gods. In Homer's account, the gods frequently intervene, taking sides and manipulating events. Zeus, Athena, Apollo, these figures influenced nearly every major event in the... To the ancient Greeks, these gods were very real forces in their lives. But for modern historians, they add an additional layer of legend, complicating the search for historical facts. Ultimately, was the Trojan War real? While we may never know the whole truth, evidence suggests there was indeed a major conflict near the ancient city we now identify as Troy. But whether that conflict involved Helen, Achilles, and the Trojan Horse, or was simply a brutal war over trade and power, remains a mystery. In the end, the Trojan War endures as one of history's most captivating stories, a timeless blend of heroism, tragedy, and mystery. The tale of Troy invites us to explore not only the ancient world, but also the way myth and history intertwine, creating legends that survive across millennia. Thank you for joining us on. If you enjoyed exploring this ancient mystery, please like and subscribe to our channel for more intriguing journeys through history.